Today we will discuss about the ovary, histology of ovary and female genital organs. The ovary, it is the primary female genital organs and it is surface which is lined by the simple cuboidal epithelium. It is also called the germinal epithelium. Tunica albuginea, it is the outer covering. It is made up of connective tissue and the main two parts of the ovary, cortex and medulla. Cortex, the ovarian follicle of various stage like primary, secondary follicles, Graafian follicle, or it is called the mature follicles. After there is a ovulation, there is a carpus luteum, carpus albicans and atric follicles. Inside the medulla, you can see there is a loose fibroelastic connective tissue and blood vessels and nerve fibers. Here you can see this is the slide of the ovary and this is a Graafian follicle. It is nearly mature. This is the primary follicles, secondary follicles, atric follicles. So various stage of the follicle you can see inside the cortex, and inside the medulla you can see the connective tissue and nerve and blood vessels inside the medulla of the ovary. The second slide, it is the fallopian tube. The mucosa, it is lined by the simple ciliated columnar epithelium. Presence of non-packed cells, ciliated packed cells. These packed cells secretes a fluid for the nourishment of the spermatogonia and fertilize the egg. It also provides an environment for capacitation of the sperm. There is a muscular cord which is formed by the two layers, inner circular and outer longitudinal muscles. Serosa, it is a peritoneal mesothelium. Serosa, which is formed by the very thin, and it is a peritoneal mesothelium. So here you can see this is the enlarged view of the fallopian tube. It is lined by the simple ciliated columnar epithelium. Mucosal folds are abundant, and there is a muscles layer. It is inner circular and outer longitudinal, and outermost it is the serosa. The uterus, there are two stages, secretory and proliferative. There are basically three layers: endometrium, myometrium and perimetrium. Endometrium, which is thick and it is lined by the simple columnar epithelium, connective tissue with simple tubular gland and spiral arteries. Lamina propria contains the glands and artery. It is a coil, wide lumen, elongated and sawtooth appearance. So here you can see this is the epithelium, which is the columnar epithelium present of the uterine gland, and the blood vessels, which is the nearly straight spiral artery, nearly straight, and the inside the myometrium there is a inner longitudinal, middle spiral and the outer longitudinal layers. Perimetrium, it is the mesothelium of the simple squamous epithelium and vascular connective tissue. So this is an enlarged view, secretory stage of the uterus, mainly three layers: endometrium, myometrium and perimetrium. So endometrium, it is the thickest layer. Here you can see this is the uterine gland and it is lined by the columnar epithelium. It is the tooth-like appearance, as well as there is a spiral artery which is nearly straight inside the secretory phase, and there are muscles which is a inner longitudinal, spiral, and again it is the longitudinal layers. Proliferative stage, the endometrium, which is simple columnar epithelium. Lamina propria contains the gland and artery, which is straight, narrow lumen and less coils, spiral artery. The myometrium, which is inner longitudinal, middle spiral or thickest and outer longitudinal muscles layer, and the perimetrium, it is the same as the secretory stage. So here you can see this is a proliferative stage. This is the endometrium, which is well developed because the proliferations, and the spiral artery, which is tortuous, and the smooth muscles, which is the inner longitudinal, middle spiral, and outer longitudinal, and most outer, it is the perimetrium. The mammillary gland, it is the active and inactive. Parenchyma, it divides into the lobules. This is the lobules. And alveoli, which is lined by the simple cuboidal epithelium or simple squamous epithelium. Small lumen and cord of cells. Duct, which is lined by the simple cuboidal epithelium. Stroma, it is a connective tissue with paired cells. Stroma is more than the glandular tissue in inactive stage, while the gland, which is more during the active stage. So this is the diagram of the inactive stage of the mammillary gland. This is the active stage, where the gland, which is mainly lined by the cuboidal, which is converted into the columnar, alveoli, which is lined by the columnar epithelium because it is the active stage, and large irregular lumen secretion present inside the lumen, and acini full develop, and new acini, which is also appear. Duct, which is lined by the simple cuboidal epithelium. Stroma, the connective tissue with fat cells. Stroma is less than the glandular tissue because the gland, which is more developed during the active stage of during the lactic glands. Thyroid glands, the capsule which is thin fibrous capsule, it divides the gland by fibrous septa to form the lobules. Follicle, which is lined by the simple cuboidal epithelium. Lumen, which is pink colloid materials inside the thyroid, and there is a connective tissue. This is the connective tissue in between, which is make the septa, and it is contains the blood vessels and parafollicular cells or C cells. Here you can see these are the C cells. It is the polyhedral with eccentric nuclei, pale cytoplasm, and it secretes the calcitonin. So this is the parafollicular cells, which is lies on the peripheral part of the follicles. So this is about to the thyroid gland, and this is the enlarged view of the thyroid gland. Here you can see the follicle, which is lined by the cuboidal epithelium. Inside there is a pink materials, and outer side there is a parafollicular cells, and in between there is a connective tissue septum. It contains the blood vessels. Pituitary glands. Pituitary gland have basically two parts, adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis, which is contains the three parts: pars distalis, pars intermedialis, and pars tuberculosis. Adenohypophysis, there is a clump or cord of cells and numerous sinusoid between the cells. Pars distalis has a two type of cells, chromophil and chromophobes. Chromophil have a granules, and they are acidophilic and basophilic. Acidophilic, which is pink cytoplasm, while the basophilic, which is the blue cytoplasm. Chromophobe cells are poorly stained and there is no granules. The pars intermedia, there is a colloid filled vesicles and blood capillaries. Pars tuberalis, it is the extension of the anterior pituitary gland, highly vascular. Neurohypophysis have two parts, pars nervosa and infundibulum. There is a non-myelinated axon and neuroglial cells. Particularly pituocytes are the special glial cells, which is supporting cells, and long dendrites parallel to the nerve fibers. Herring bodied, it is the dilated terminal portion of the axon, and it is stained in pink in color. Here you can see this is the Basically, in between the cells, there is a presence of the sinusoid. These are the sinusoids, and there is a chromophil. It contains the two type of cells: basophil and acidophils. Basophil, which is the blue cytoplasm, while the acidophil, which is the pink cytoplasm. As well as there is a presence of the chromophore cells, which is the nearly poorly stained, and there is a no granules, and inside the neurohypophysis there is a pituicytes, you can see here, and nerve fibers which is parallel to it, and this is about to the pituitary glands. This is the enlarged view of the pituitary glands. Lung, it is consists of numerous bronchioles and alveoli, alveolar duct, blood capillaries in between. Bronchi, here you can see this is a corner, you can see this is the bronchi, and it contains by the mucosa, which is a pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium with the globulate cells. It is covered by the smooth muscles fiber. Here you can see this is the smooth muscles fiber. Submucosa, which is the loose connective tissue with the seromucous gland. There is a presence of the cartilage inside the bronchi, mainly the hyaline cartilage, and connective tissue rich in elastic fiber. Alveoli, which is thin polyhedral sacs. These are the alveoli. Like it is a sac like a terminal airspace lined by the simple squamous epithelium. So you have to remember alveoli, which is lined by the simple squamous epithelium. Inside the bronchi, it is lined by the pseudostratified columnar epithelium. So this is a slide of the lung. This is the enlarged view of the slide of the lung. The mixed gland, it is the submandibular gland. It secretes both mucus and enzyme-rich watery secretions. Mucus acini, which is the pyramidal in shape, simple columnar epithelium, flat elongated basal nuclei, pale cytoplasm containing the mucinogens, granules, white lumens. So mucus acini, here you can see this is a mucus acini, and it is a large pyramidal shapes, simple columnar epithelium, flat basal nuclei, pale cytoplasm containing a mucinogenous granules, while the serous diminules, capsule of serous cell present on mucus acini. Here you can see this is the diagram of the serous gland over the mucus acini. Serous acini, which is the small pyramidal simple columnar epithelium and round basal nuclei. Here you can see this is a round basal nuclei and zymogen granule present inside the cytoplasm. Here you can see these are the serous gland, and there is a small lumens as compared to the mucus gland. There is a duct which is present, intercalated duct, which is lined by the simple cuboidal epithelium. This is the interlobular duct, and also there is a presence of the intercalated duct. Here you can see this is the intercalated duct. Striated duct, it is also lined by the simple columnar epithelium and interlobular duct, which is stratified cuboidal epithelium. So this is the enlarged view of the salivary gland. You have to remember mucus gland, which is the it is nearly pale in color, or it is poorly stained, and the nuclei which is flattened, and it is lies on the basal part, and there is a serous gland which is secretes the granules which is present, and it is a pinkish in color, and the nuclei which is round in shape. The lumen which is very narrow inside the serous gland, inside the mucus gland it is the lumen which is wider. This is the striated duct, this is the intercalated duct, and this is the interlobular duct which is present inside the mixed salivary gland. Best example, it is the submandibular gland. Serous gland, which is the parotid gland. Serous acini, which is mainly seen It is a pyramidal simple columnar epithelium, round basal nuclei, zymogen granules which is present, and small lumens, dark stain. So this is the dark stain, and there is a zymogen granules which is present, and it is a nuclei which is round in shape. Duct, it is lined by the cuboidal or columnar epithelium. Best example, it is the parotid gland. Also there is a lacrimal gland, it is a example of the serous gland. This is the enlarged view of the serous gland. Here you can see this is a zymogen gland which is secreted, and this is a serous which is lined by the round nuclei at the basal part, lumen which is smaller. So, and also there is a presence of the intercalated duct, interlobular duct, and striated duct. Skin. There are two types of the skin inside the body, mainly the thick skin and thin skin. Thick skin also present inside the sole and palm. Thick skin, it is lined by the stratified squamous keratinous epithelium. There are basically epidermis have 5 layers: stratum basale, single low columnar cells, stratum spinosum, several layers of the flat or polyhedral shape of the cells. It is a spinosum. It is a look like spine like process of the cells. Look, that's why it is called the stratum spinosum. Stratum granulosum, 3 to 5 layers of the flat fusiform cells. Stratum lucidum, it is a transparent eosinophilic dead cells layer which is not seen inside the thin skin. And stratum corneum, 5 to 20 cells thick. It is and the dermis, it is a hair follicles which is absent, sebaceous gland which is absent, and sweat glands present, and connective tissue which is present inside the thick skin. Other things you have to see inside the thin skin: epidermis, it is the same keratinate stratified squamous epithelium, but there is a presence of the hair follicles which is presence of the sebaceous gland along the base of the hair follicle, and it is pear-shaped alveoli polyhedral cells which open inside the hair root. Erector pili muscles, this is the erector pili muscles which is the pylorus muscles. This is the erector pylorus muscles. Sweat glands and connective tissue, fat cells, and blood capillaries which is present inside the thin skin. So these are the layers of the epidermis and dermis. Stratum basale, it is also called the germinal layer. Stratum spinosum, it is cells which is have a slightly protrude one side, so it is look like spine. That's why it is called the stratum spinosum. Granulosum, stratum lucidum, absent inside the thin skin, and stratum corneum. Dermis has a 2-layer papillary layer and reticular layers. Aorta, any artery, there are 3 layers: tunica intima, tunica media, and tunica adventitia. Elastic artery, whenever there is a large artery, it is the elastic artery. Medium sized artery, it is called the muscular artery. Tunica intima, it is lined by the simple squamous epithelium or subendothelial connective tissue and internal elastic lamina which is present inside the elastic artery inside the tunica intima. Tunica media, it is the thickest layer, spindle shaped smooth muscles and concentric set of the elastic fibers which is present. Here you can see these are the elastic fiber which is present throughout the tunica media. And outer side of the tunica media, at the junction of the tunica media and adventitia, in between there is external elastic lamina which is present, and tunica adventitia, it is a thin layer of longitudinal collagen fibers. One thing you have to remember, inside the muscular artery, the elastic fiber which is comparatively less, and the tunica media which is more thickest as compared to the elastic artery. So this is about to the elastic artery. The cornea, It has a basically 5 layers. Here you can see there is a cornea epithelium. It is the non-keratinite stratified squamous epithelium. Presence of microvilli on superficial cells. Stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Bowman's membrane, basal lamina of the random collagen fibers. Then the stroma, it is the orthogonal array of the collagen fibril, few fibroblast which is present, no blood vessels. So it is the main layer of the cornea, and the Discement membranes, it is a posterior limiting lamina, it is a thick basal basement membrane that is located on the posterior portion of the corneal stroma. And the last one is the corneal endothelium, it is the simple squamous or low cuboidal epithelium. So these are the layers of the cornea. This is the enlarged view of the cornea. The suprarenal gland. The capsule, it is covered by the connective tissue. Cortex, there is a outer to inner. There is a zona glomerulosa. It is a ovoid cluster of inverted U-shaped columnar cells. This is a U-shaped ovoid columnar cells inside the zona glomerulosa. Zona fasciculata, it is a long straight columnar polyhedral light pink cells separated by the capillaries. And zona reticularis, it is an anastomosis cord of cells separated by the fenestrated capillaries. Medulla, it is the ovoid group of pale staining epithelioid cells and numerous sinusoidal capillaries. So this is the slide of the suprarenal gland. This is the enlarged view. You have to remember there is a cortex and medulla main part. Inside the cortex, outer zona glomerulosa, middle one is the zona fasciculosa, and inner one is the zona reticulosa. And medulla, it is mainly formed by the chromaffin cells inside the medulla of the suprarenal gland. So this is about to the histology of the some of the slide. Thank you. Hope you enjoy the lecture.